June 10th. Dear Diary, school will soon be over, and now I don't want it to end. Beth and I are having such a good time. Neither one of us are very popular with the boys, but sometimes Beth has to go out with the Jewish sons of her mother's friends. She says it's usually a big bore, and the boys don't like her any more than she likes them, but Jewish families are like that. They want their kids to marry other Jewish kids. Some night, Beth is going to fix me up with a blind date with a nice Jewish boy, to quote her mother. Beth says he'll love it because I'm not Jewish, and he'll feel he's putting something over on his mother. I think I like him already. June 13th. Hurrah! School's out, but I'm kind of sad too. June 15th. Beth fixed me up with a boy named Sammy Green. He was incredibly proper and polite to my parents, which made them like him. But once we were out in the car, he was all hands. Parents really are a poor judge of character. Sometimes I wonder how they made it to that age they are. Anyway, the whole night was really stupid. Sam wouldn't even let me watch the movie in peace. Besides, it turned out to be such a dirty film that Beth and I stayed in the ladies' room for a long time after it was over. We were both too self-conscious to come out, but since we couldn't spend the night in there, we finally made our grand entrance into the lobby pretending that nothing had ever happened. The boys tried to discuss the movie, but we both ignored them, and it too. June 18th. Today I received the ghastly news that Beth is going to have to go to summer camp for 6 weeks. Her folks are going to Europe, so they've made arrangements for her to go to an all-Jewish camp. I am heartbroken, and so is she. We both talk to our parents, but we might as well be talking to the wind. They don't hear us. They don't even listen to us. I guess I'll go spend the summer with Gran as I planned, but even that doesn't seem to hold much interest anymore. June 23rd. Beth and I have only 2 more days together. Our parting is almost like looking forward to a death. It seems that I have known her always, for she understands me. I must admit that there were even times when her mother arranged dates for her that I was jealous of the boys. I hope it's not strange for a girl to feel that way about another girl. Oh, I hope not. Is it possible that I am in love with her? Oh, that's dumb even for me. It's just that she is the dearest friend that I've ever had, or that I shall ever have. June 25th. It is over. At noon, Beth is leaving. Last night, we said our goodbyes, and we both cried and clung to each other like frightened children. Beth is as alone as I am. Her mother is a screamer and tells her she's being childish and silly. At least Mom and Dad are sympathetic and understand how lonely I'm going to be. In fact, Mother took me shopping and let me spend $5 on a little solid gold necklace with a personal inscription engraved inside, and Dad has told me I can make 2 long-distance calls to her. That's really pretty decent and thoughtful of them. I guess I am lucky. July 2nd. Dear Diary, I'm at Gran's, and I have never been more bored in my life. Talk about a long, hot summer, and it isn't even really summer yet. I think I shall lose my mind. I've been reading a book a day since I got here and already am bored out of my skull. It's amazing because during school I really longed for the time to stay in bed and just loaf and read and watch telly and do the things I want to do. But now I've run out of things. Oh, sheer agony. Sharon has moved and Debbie is going with some guy and Marie is on vacation with her folks. I've only been here 5 days. I'll have to force myself to at least stay a week before I ask to go home. Can I stand it without going mad? July 7th. Today, a very strange thing happened. At least I hope it's going to happen. Oh, I do. Gramps and I walked downtown to get a present for Alex's birthday, and while we were in the department store, Jill Peters came by. She said hi, and we stopped to talk. I hadn't seen her since we moved away, and I'd never really belonged in her crowd, which were kind of the top echelon. But anyway, she said she wants to go to Dad's university when she graduates from high school, and said she couldn't wait to get out of this little hick town and move to where things really happen. I tried to pretend we were very sophisticated and gay there, but actually, I haven't really seen much difference between the 2 places. I guess I lied a pretty good story, though, because she said she was going to have a few kids in tomorrow night, and she'd call me. Oh, I hope she does. July 8th. Oh, Diary, I'm so happy I could cry. It did happen. Jill called at exactly 10:32. I know because I'd been sitting by the phone with my watch in my hand trying to send the ESP signals to her. She's having a few kids over for an autograph party. Thank heavens I brought my yearbook. It won't be the same as theirs, and none of their pictures will be in it, but then mine won't be in theirs either. I'm going to wear my new white pantsuit, and I have to go now and wash my hair and put it up. It's really getting long, but if I put it up on orange juice cans, I can make it have just the right amount of body and a nice large curl at the bottom. I hope we have enough cans. We've got to. We've simply got to. July 10th. Dear Diary, I don't know whether I should be ashamed or elated. I only know that last night I had the most incredible experience of my life. It sounds morbid when I put it in words, but actually it was tremendous and wonderful and miraculous. The kids at Jill's were so friendly and relaxed and at ease, and I immediately felt at home with them. They accepted me like I had always been one of their crowd, and everyone seemed happy and unhurried. I loved the atmosphere. It was great. Anyway, a little while after we got there, Jill and one of the boys brought out a tray of Coke, and all the kids immediately sprawled out on the floor, on cushions or curled up together on the sofa and chairs. Jill winked at me and said, "Tonight we're playing Button, Who's Got the Button? You know, the game we used to play when we were kids?" Bill Thompson, who was stretched out next to me, laughed. "Only, it's just too bad that now somebody has to babysit." I looked up at him and smiled. I didn't want to appear too stupid. Everyone sipped their drink slowly, and everyone seemed to be watching everyone else. I kept my eyes on Jill, supposing that anything she did, I should do. Suddenly, I began to feel something strange inside myself, like a storm. I remember that 2 or 3 records had played since we had had drinks, and now everyone was beginning to look at me. The palms of my hands were sweating, and I could feel droplets of moisture on my scalp at the back of my neck. The room seemed unusually quiet, and as Jill got up close to the window shades completely, I thought, "They're trying to poison me. Why would they try to poison me?" My whole body was tense at every muscle, and a feeling of weird apprehension swept over me, strangled me, suffocated me. When I opened my eyes, I realized that it was just Bill who had put his arm around my shoulder. "Lucky you," he said in a slow-motion record on the wrong speed voice. "But don't you worry, I'll babysit you. This will be a good trip. Come on, relax. Enjoy it. He caressed my face and neck tenderly and said, "Honestly, I won't let anything bad happen to you." Suddenly, he seemed to be repeating himself over and over like a slow-motion echo chamber. I started laughing, wildly, hysterically. It struck me as the funniest, most absurd thing I had ever heard. Then I noticed the strange shifting patterns on the ceiling. Bill pulled me down, and my head rested in his lap as I watched the pattern change to swirling colors, great fields of reds, blues, and yellows. I tried to share the beauty with the others, but my words came out soggy, wet, and dripping or tasting of color. I pulled myself up and began walking, feeling a slight chill which crept inside as well as outside my body. I wanted to tell Bill, but all I could do was laugh. Soon, whole trains of thought started to appear between each word. I had found the perfect and true and original language used by Adam and Eve, but when I tried to explain, the words I used had little to do with my thinking. I was losing it. It was slipping out of my grasp, this wonderful and priceless and true thing which must be saved for posterity. I felt terrible, and finally I couldn't talk at all and slumped back onto the floor, closed my eyes, and the music began to absorb me physically. I could smell it and touch it and feel it as well as hear it. Never had anything ever been so beautiful. I was a part of every single instrument, literally a part. Each note had a character, shape, and color, all its very own, and seemed to be entirely separate from the rest of the score, that I could consider its relationship to the whole composition before the next note sounded. My mind possessed the wisdoms of the ages, and there were no words adequate to describe them. I looked at the magazine on the table, and I could see it in 100 dimensions. It was so beautiful, I could not stand the sight of it and closed my eyes. Immediately, I was floating into another sphere, another world, another state. Things rushed away from me and at me, taking my breath away like a drop in a fast elevator. I couldn't tell what was real and what was unreal. Was I the table, or the book, or the music, or was I a part of all of them? But it didn't really matter, for whatever I was wonderful. For the first time that I could remember in my life, I was completely uninhibited. I was dancing before the whole group, performing, showing off, and enjoying every second of it. My senses were so up that I could hear someone breathing in the house next door, and I could smell someone miles away making orange and red and green ribbed jello. After what seemed eternities, I began to come down, and the party started breaking up. I sort of asked Jill what happened, and she said that 10 out of 14 bottles of Coke had LSD in it. And button, no one knew just who would wind up with them. Wow, am I glad I was one of the lucky ones. Gramps' house was dark when we got home, and Jill helped me to my room, out of my clothes, and into bed, and I drifted off into a seasick type of sleep, wrapped in a general sense of well-being, except for the slight headache that probably was the result of long and intense laughing. It was fun, it was glorious, but I don't think I'll ever try it again. I've heard too many frightening stories about drugs. Now that I think back, I should have known what was happening. Any dum-dum should have known, but I thought the whole party was so strange and exciting that I guess I just wasn't listening, or maybe I didn't want to listen. I'd have been scared to death if I had known. So I'm glad they did it to me, because now I can feel free and honest and virtuous about not having made the decision myself. And besides, the whole experience is over and past, and I'll never think of it again. July 13th. Dear Diary, for 2 days now, I've tried to convince myself that using LSD makes me a dope addict, and all the other low-class, unclean, despicable things I've heard about kids that use LSD and all the other drugs, but I'm so curious. I simply can't wait to try pot, only once, I promise. I simply have to see if it's everything that it's cracked up not to be. All the things I've heard about LSD were obviously written by uninformed, ignorant people like my parents who obviously don't know what they're talking about. Maybe pot is the same. Anyway, Jill called this morning, and she's going to her friends for the weekend, and she'll call me the first thing Monday. I told her what a great time I had, and she seemed pleased. I'm sure if I hint around, she'll see that I get to try pot just once. Then I'll immediately go home and forget the whole drug setup, but it's nice to be informed and know what things are really like. Of course, I wouldn't want anyone to know I've really used them, and I guess I'd better go get one of those little fishing tackle type metal boxes to lock you in with a good padlock. I can't take a chance on anyone reading you, especially not now. In fact, I guess I better take you with me even to the library to look up something about drugs. Thank goodness for the catalog section. I wouldn't dare ask anyone. Also, if I go now when the library first opens, I'll probably have the whole place to myself. July 14th. On the way to the library, I met Bill. He's taking me out tonight. I can't wait to see what happens. It's a completely new world I'm exploring, and you can't even conceive the wide new doors that are opening up before me. I feel like Alice in Wonderland. Maybe Lewis G. Carroll was on drugs too. July 20th. Dear, close, warm, intimate friend Diary. What a fantastic, unbelievable, expanding, thrilling week I've had. It's been like, wow, the greatest thing that has ever happened. Remember when I told you I had a date with Bill? Well, he introduced me to torpedoes on Friday and speed on Sunday. They are both like riding shooting stars through the Milky Way, only 1,000,000 trillion times better. The speed was a little scary at first because Bill had to inject it right into my arm. I remembered how much I hated shots when I was in the hospital, but this is different. Now I can't wait. I positively can't wait to try it again. No wonder it's called speed. I could hardly control myself. In fact, I couldn't have if I had wanted to, and I didn't want to. I danced like I had never dreamed possible for an introverted, mousy little me. I felt great, free, abandoned, a different, improved, perfected specimen of a different, improved, perfected species. It was wild. It was beautiful. It really was.